Hello, my learninga knichte, my learning knights, my scholars, my hellions. Welcome back. This is a short video where I'm just going to respond at once to all of your lovely posts to the discussion board in which I asked you to come up with modern compounds and kennings. One thing I found amusing was that several people mentioned blackboard as an all-new word, but blackboard was a word for a chalkboard, right? So it's been around a while, and there are other examples of technological devices that are older things that have been the words have been repurposed for newer things. But let's talk about kennings. A kenning is different, as if you might remember, than a regular compound because it has some kind of metaphorical or figurative meaning. You can't necessarily directly infer what it means from the combination of words. There's kind of a riddle element or a metaphorical element. So, for example, in Old Norse and Old English poetry, we find a lot of words for violence, really. Blood ember for axe, battle sweat for blood, ring giver for king, wood bane for fire, bane being the destruction or whatever. To feed the eagle is to kill your enemies, eagles being scavengers. And some kennings from Old Germanic poetry are mythological. So, for example, mistletoe is Baldur's bane, going back to the myth about how Loki tricked Baldur's simple brother, whose name escapes me, into killing him with mistletoe when Baldur's mother Freya had protected him against all other things that existed in the natural world. From Beowulf, we already talked about the whale road is the sea and the bone house is the body. Ymir's skull is the sky, and Ymir is the giant who was killed by the gods at the beginning of time, whose body formed the world. And a tree breaker is a wind, which makes me think about my family. My in-laws out in Alberta who homesteaded up there in far north Alberta in the early 20th century, and the first thing they would do was build a line of trees to break the wind up there in the northern prairie. So do we have modern kennings? Sure. There's bookwork. It's supposed to say bookworm. Hold on a second. Ankle biter, and to which I add rugrat, which means the same thing, a child. Skyscraper, a very tall building. Four eyes, a person with glasses. You wouldn't necessarily infer that immediately. Or a fender bender as a car crash. There's a poetic quality to it. Earbuds, I'm not sure. I feel there's kind of looks like what it is. They're little buds that go in your ears. I'm not sure. Mall rat, that's kind of 90s. I like it. Tramp stamp is a funny one, if you'll forget the slight crassness of it. The Germans call these Arschantlern, which means literally, again, excuse my language, I'm mentioning this rather than using it, ass antlers. Makeup, is that a kenning? What would a non-kenning compound word? Face paint? But that would mean something else, wouldn't it? Arm candy. I like this one. That has a metaphorical quality to it. Tree hugger. Blockbuster. Pencil pusher for a bureaucrat. Boombox. John Cusack can say anything. Headhunter for somebody who's trying to find a person to fill a position. That is a metaphorical extension of the word. Shooting iron this almost has an old Norse kind of quality to it. One of you talked about shit kickers as boots. I like that. That's funny. Mind reader. Not sure if that's a kenning, but I'm not sure it's not either. Again, the definition is a little loose, but if it's somehow like a little poem or metaphor or riddle, then I think it's a kenning. I'm not sure about mind reader. It kind of just says what it is. Another thing that you guys talked about, but you didn't come up with the word for, was portmanteau. And a portmanteau is when you take two different words and combine them together. The word is metaphorically named after this 18th century French invention of a wardrobe that was also a suitcase. It was kind of like a transformer type thing. So you could pack it and carry it around like a trunk, and then set it up like a little closet. And words that are portmanteaus combine. They have two different words that share a syllable. So mansplain is a good one, and various other puns on manspread, whatever. Hangry, smog, brunch or dunch, bromance. I forget this isn't here, but that's another example one. Brunch is so old now and smog that we don't even think of them as portmanteaus, but they were originally breakfast and lunch, smoke and fog. And the much less popular, though equally delicious, dunch. Chocoholic always reminds me of that Onion article. I'm like a chocoholic, only for booze. Flexitarian for somebody who is a bad vegetarian. That's like me. Spanglish is a mixture of Spanish and English. Brexit, of course, we talk about all the time. The British exit from the EU. And then there's various celebrity couple portmanteaus, maybe the most famous of which is Brangelina and Frenemy. So this is a fun. This is a much more uncommon and marked form of word formation. And so it's very playful, and I'm not sure it's something that we find in Old English. But since you guys brought it up, I thought I would just talk about it a little bit. Anyway, I enjoyed the work that you did. I look forward to seeing I look forward to checking in on more of your discussion boards. So have a great week, and hope you had a good long weekend. And I'll be working with you more soon.